let's kick off with what is product-led growth. So first off, if we're going to go with the fancy definition, I mean to just go with it. Product-led growth is ultimately a go-to-market strategy. And it's one of the ones or few ones where you're using your product as the main vehicle to acquire, activate, and retain customers. And that may sound a lot of words, but I challenge you to think about product-led growth in a whole new lens. For instance, product-led growth, I'm going to argue, has been around for years and years and years, hundreds of years even, and yet we haven't called it product-led growth. I'll give you a couple examples. So there's cologne or perfume. What do you typically do before you make a purchasing decision? Most people will try it on and see if it smells good, feels good, makes them feel better. Same thing with a car. Before you make an expensive purchase, you're gonna ask them, could I take this thing for a test drive? And you're really gonna see, does this feel good? Does this car actually start? That's a big thing because you might just buy what I call a lemon. Oh, no. And it doesn't work. That's what you want to avoid. And then there's also shoes. Okay, so you find a pair and it looks like the right size and everything, but you never really know with shoes until you try it on and you're like, oh, thank goodness this actually fits. And so that is, in a lot of ways, product-led growth, because in each of these cases, the product does the majority of the selling. And that is made possible because, wait for it, they're letting you try before you buy. And when you think about this new way of business, what's really, if you go deep, what's at its core is that how you sell is becoming just as important as what you sell. And I'll give you another example too, because I like examples and it makes things easier to understand. And so whenever you think about how you could potentially sell your product, there's really two main ways. The first way is I'm going to tell you about the product. I'm going to tell you about the benefits of the product. I'm going to answer your questions and ultimately help you make a purchasing decision by telling you and being helpful. There's nothing wrong with that approach. Even the copy on your website is a form of telling people about your product. That's great. You're always going to need to have that. And then there's showing. So if I show you the value of our product, or I let you sign up for a free trial and let you see for yourself if it is a great product or not, then in that scenario, you're able to gain trust a lot faster because you can actually say, that delivered on its promise. That was a great experience. I want more of that. And so out of these two main ways and philosophies of selling, it's really becoming apparent that now more than ever, if you want to sell to the modern buyer, you need to lean into one of these approaches. And now the whole reason I'm here, you're here, is really because it comes down to, well, one of these is a lot more powerful. One of these approaches is really working extremely well in the marketplace. And when I ask you, which approach do you prefer whenever it comes to purchasing a product? Would you rather simply be just told, what is the product about? Just told that your shoe's gonna fit. Just told that your cologne or your perfume smells great. Just told that your car purrs and it just is super fast. No. Most of you are listening, you actually want to see. You want to actually smell that cologne and be like, oh God, thank goodness I didn't buy that. You also want to try on that shoe to be like, oh shoot, that was like, yes, for me, size 12, but it didn't fit like a size 12. And we all have had those experiences. And same thing with the car. You don't want to get in there and be like, oh, it didn't even start. So the jury's out. Everyone who's listening, I can agree, I can hear you say it, that you would prefer to see the value of the product versus just simply being told about it. And that's natural. That's how buyers want to buy now more than ever. And so the whole reason we're here today is because that is the reality, that to show is way more powerful than to simply tell people about the value of your product. And when you break this down into, what are the main philosophies of growing your business, it really comes down to these two pieces. There is the first way, which really resembles telling people about your product. I call this sales-led growth. And that's really buyer centric. You're really focusing on the buyer. It's more of a top down kind of approach of you start with a decision maker, try and get the deal done, and work your way down the account. And the big thing here, if you were to sum up this slide, which has a good amount of text on it, which I try to avoid, so sorry, on the sales-led approach, it's really, yes, one about telling people about your product, but it's also about selling first. And so when we look at the other side about being product-led, it is really user-centric. You're trying to build a product that users can get up to speed, get up to value very quickly. And the main thing here is that it's serving first. You're allowing someone to experience the value of your product first before ever selling. And so the dynamic shift to succeed in the modern era of product-led growth is you need to understand that the old way is really sell first and then serve, whereas the new way really relies on you to serve first and then sell your product. And so it's really flipping the whole dynamic of how you sell your product. And now that you know that product-led growth, and we're all on the same page about what product-led growth is, my question to you is, why do you think that the number of public product-led growth companies has skyrocketed since just 2012? Think about it. Why is that the case? Why is there so many more public product-led growth companies that are coming on the scene? While you think about that, we're going to skip the next section around why product-led growth is of rising importance.